Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in today's video we will discuss about SQL Server file stream configuration. So let's begin. Let's go to my notes. But before that, I would request you to please subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe button at the bottom of this video. And right next to it, there is a bell button. Click on that and select all notifications to get update regarding all my future videos. Let me take you to notes now. So here today we are talking about file streaming and how we can configure that. So first let's talk a little bit about file streaming. File streaming basically allows SQL Server database engine to work with the blobs or binary large objects. And blobs can be stored both inside and outside of the database tables. So blobs that are stored outside the database are called file stream blobs because they are stored inside the files. And similarly, blobs can also be stored inside the database tables as well. Now let's talk about file stream blobs which are stored outside database, and these are just like any other standard blobs which are stored inside database tables. So they are specified in database as var binary max data type, and this can include any unstructured data type like videos or data images. So basically we use var binary max type for any videos or data images, and this data can be stored as binary large objects, and this can be used in both the situation whether we are using the standard blobs or file stream blobs. Now file stream blobs do not have 2 GB file size limit, so there's a limitation to the blobs that are stored inside database table. So it has a 2 GB limit, file size limit, but with the file stream blobs we don't have 2 GB limit. So that's one of the advantages. And we set the file stream attribute on var binary max column in order to enable it for file streaming. Enable for if we want to enable particular column for file streaming or to store data in blobs outside of the database tables, then yeah, this setting needs to be enabled at the column level. And this setting basically tells the database to store the data for that column on the file system rather than in a database. So yeah, if this setting is enabled on a particular column, it basically instructs the database to store that data for that particular column on the file system rather than in within the database itself or within the tables. And SQL Server is able to locate blob data by using the pointers to blobs in the database. So pointers are stored in the database, and those pointers point to blob. Now let's talk about the file stream data. So far we were just talking about the file streaming. Now let's talk about file stream data. What is file stream data? So T-SQL statements can be used to insert, update, query, and delete the file stream data. So again, although the data is stored inside the files on the file system, but yeah, we can issue T-SQL queries against that data. Any of the queries like insert, update, query, and delete. And if we want to cache the file data during file streaming, SQL Server DB engine uses the NTFS file system feature instead of SQL Server buffer pool. So for streaming the file stream blobs, SQL Server uses NTFS file system feature, but it does not use the SQL Server buffer pool for any caching of data. And this basically is done to ensure that sufficient memory is available for processing of queries, and once sufficient memory is available, it improves the database performance as well. And large amount of data is streamed more efficiently into a file that uses Win32 interfaces. So It's talking about streaming. Streaming can be efficiently done with the file that uses Win32 interfaces. And the Win32 interfaces work within the context of SQL Server transaction. We can use the path name function to obtain the UNC path of the blob file stored on the system. So certain functions can be used to determine the UNC path for the blob file stored on the system. And there is certain API we need to use to obtain the file handle on that file. So OpenSQL FileStream is the API which we usually use. Here I'm basically giving a general explanation, so I won't be going into much details. So yeah, I'm just giving an overview. So this is an API that can be used to obtain a file handle and operate on blobs by using the Win32 file streaming interfaces, and various functions can be used to read the file, like read file and the write file function. Apart from that, several other functions are there, like transmit file, set file pointer, set end of file, and flush file buffers. And once a handle can be obtained on a file, if we want to release the handle, then close handle function or interface can be used. And file stream files on the file system cannot be deleted or renamed through the file system because file operations are transactional in nature. And file stream data must be stored in file stream file groups. It cannot be stored on normal file groups. So special kind of file group should be created for the files for file stream data basically. And this is a special file group that contains the file system directory instead of the file themselves. Okay, so these file groups contain only the paths and not the actual part to the actual exact absolute part to the file. So that's the difference between the normal groups and the file stream file groups. Now these file stream file group directories are called data containers, and they act as an interface between the database engine storage and file system storage. So these directories act as an interface between the DB engine storage and the file system storage. And there are several points to keep in mind before we jump to our demo session. So this is in relation to the file stream blobs. Database snapshot can only be created for non-file stream groups. The file stream file groups are marked as offline for those snapshot databases. So basically we cannot take database snapshot for the non-file stream groups. Sorry, we cannot take database snapshot for file stream groups. We can however take a database snapshot for other non-file stream groups. And a select statement can be executed on file stream table in a snapshot database, must not include a file stream column. So any of the table that contains certain file stream column or a column marked as file stream, a select statement can be executed against that table in the snapshot database, but that should not include a file stream column. So that will not support, the select will not support if the data in the output contains the file stream column, and if we are making a select query against the snapshot database. Now let's talk in context to log shipping. Log shipping certainly supports file streaming on primary and secondary servers as long as they are running SQL Server 2012 version or later and have file streaming enabled. And let's talk about database mirroring. It does not support file streaming, and file streaming file group cannot be created on a principal server. We also cannot configure database mirroring for the database that contains file stream file groups. Now let's talk about full text indexing in terms of file streaming. So full text indexing works with file stream columns. Its engine indexes contents of file stream blobs, and whenever a file stream blob is updated, the column is reindexed. And a var binary max column that has the file stream attribute enabled at the publisher can be replicated to subscriber with or without file stream attribute. So we are talking in regards to publishing or subscriber publisher model. So the column can be published and the subscriber can subscribe to it and replicate the data. And let's talk in terms of failover clustering. So file stream file groups must be placed on a shared disk. In case if we are using failover clustering, where we are using two or more than two nodes for failover switching, yeah, file stream file group can be used, but they must be placed on a shared disk. And also streaming should be enabled on each node in the cluster that will host file stream interface. Now let me show you how you can configure the file stream or how you can enable the file streaming. So for that I need to open up SQL Server. I've just launched it, so waiting for it to open. Please bear with me for a minute. So guys, SQL Server is open, although we did not require this because we need to open SQL Server Configuration Manager. So let's quickly go ahead and find out SQL Server Configuration Manager. So it was showing up a few minutes back. Let's see. So here it is, Configuration Manager app. Just open it. It should open quickly. So once you start SQL Server Configuration Manager, and we need to select the SQL Server Services node, and in the right pane click the instance of the database engine service that you want to configure. So I'm selecting the default instance, and we need to select properties after that, and there's a file stream tab on this. So here we are configuring this on the server level. So in the properties dialog box, so in this figure we can enable file stream for transact SQL access checkbox. Basically we need to enable this checkbox to enable and disable the file streaming for T-SQL, and if this checkbox is checked, file streaming will be used, and if this checkbox is cleared, it will prevent the file streaming from being allowed. And for now it's enabled. Enable file streaming for transact SQL access, and another option is we can enable it for IO access as well, and it's asking for Windows share name to be used, and if we want to remote client access to the file stream data, we can configure this option. You need to hit apply. Now and these settings are configured. So let's go into settings once again quickly. So go to properties, go to file streaming tab. So if we want to enable the IO streaming access by local clients, we need to enable the third option. First of all, we need to enable second option, and then we need to specify the Windows share name from which file will be streamed. Default share name is this, MS SQL Server. And if we basically enable the local file streaming and want to enable file IO streaming access by remote clients, we need to, so if the local file streaming is enabled, and if we want that remote client can access to the file stream, can access the file stream data, this setting needs to be enabled. So this traffic happens over the SMB block or server message block protocol. If the client is remote, no write operations are cached by the client side, which means that write operations are always sent to a server where they can be cached if necessary. And if you made changes and this particular service is running, and then you must restart the service. So once we enable these settings, we need to restart the MS SQL Server service in order for settings to take effect. So let's do a restart. It's stopping the service and will start the service, after which file streaming is now enabled on this server. So waiting for service to get started. Now it's starting up. So yeah, this was the concept of file streaming, how it can be enabled on the server level. Now let's go back to notes and see what is our next topic. So next topic is about how you can configure the dump directories or the error reporting directories and customer feedback reporting directories. So advanced service configuration options can be used to configure reporting and error logging features. And during the install of SQL Server, we are asked whether to configure the error reports and feature reports or reporting. And if error reporting is enabled, error reports are generated and sent to Microsoft or to a corporate non-reporting server. Whenever a service terminates during with a fatal error, a report gets generated, sent to Microsoft or a corporate error reporting server. This report contains the fatal error information, the details to identify what caused the error, and error information is also logged into a certain dump directory. Dump directory for default instance of SQL Server can be located under this location. So let's see whether we have dump directory present over here. So let me go to program files quickly. So it's on the PC, C drive, program files. Let's see what the location is. Program files, Microsoft SQL Server. Here it is. After that, it's saying MS SQL 11, MS SQL Server. So let's see. So here we are not using Server 2012, so we are using advanced version of SQL Server. So this should be the folder we should be opening. Under that, MySQL needs to be opened. And after MySQL, there's a log folder. So this is the folder. We need permission to open this. So yeah, here we get all the error logging information. So we're just checking log files are there. So these are some of the error logs or dumps, or any event files also get generated over here. And so we have checked this location. Similarly, reporting services dump directory will be located under the almost the same location but with a different directory structure. And customer feedback reporting generated reports about component usage that are sent to Microsoft when this feature is configured. This report helps in understanding how components and features are being used. Now let me take you through a demo where how you can manage the reporting and error dumps for each service. So it's on a per service basis. Let's go to configuration manager. So we need to select the SQL Server Services node after that. In the right pane it shows up the services. So we need to right click on the service for which we want to configure this dumping options or error reporting options. We need to go to properties and we need to select advanced tab after that. So there is a box for dump directory over here. So right now dump directory is this. I've just shown you this directory. You can copy and paste this path to open the directory as well. So it's basically the same location which was opened earlier, the same location. So this is the location where dump files are, error dump files are going. So is it error reporting is currently enabled on this server. And we can change the dump directory from here. We simply need to add a new directory to use. So, and we need to make sure that the login account for the selected service has appropriate read and write access to this directory before we mention any directory over here. And if we want reporting to be disabled, we can select no under error reporting. Alright. And apart from that, so this is just the error reporting. And if you made changes under services running, so for example, I'm disabling the error reporting on this. Apply OK. So servers need to be restarted. So let's do that. So I can restart it from here. I've just disabled the error reporting on the system. So yeah, guys, that's it for this video. We have covered two topics. We have talked about file streaming. We have talked about how you can configure the dump directory for error reporting. And you need to restart services after configuring both the options. I think that's it. And in our next video, we will talk about the policy-based management, where you can implement policies on your SQL Server. So stay tuned with us and wait for our upcoming videos. Thank you. And please do comment us if you like us to make SQL videos on any particular topic. And again, do subscribe to my channel. There's a red button below my video, the subscribe button. Click on that, and right next to it there is a bell icon. Click on that and select all notifications to get all the updates regarding my future videos. I thank you once again for your time. Please do like this video and share this video with your friends. Have a nice day. Bye bye.